Ladies and gentlemen,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today with Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
If you're ready to talk, we're willing to listen.
Well, I really enjoy this program today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
May God bless every person.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Yes, it's Wednesday. It's wonderful. It's a little bit rainy and wet, but hey, it's going to be a great day as we tell you about music and how it inspires, nurtures, and in particular, causes your children to excel. Hey, jubilate. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today, the Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program. We ask our listeners to avoid statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email Talk Today at candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255. Courtesy of Flow,
Cayman's #1 network that connects you to your world like never before.
Let your voice be heard. Once again, here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Good afternoon. Welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us. And as we have the chance to continue looking at, what the arts can do for a society, but in particular, what it does for students. Not only entertains them, not only intrigues them, inspires them, but gets them to be motivated and to appreciate that there is a strong connection between arts and academics now. Ms. Shana Best, together with Mr. Cranston, forward to tell us about Jubilate. And I've seen some of the rehearsals. I've seen some of the parents so jubilantly, having their children exposed to music. Now, Ms. Shana, as we welcome you, just good afternoon to you, Mom.
And good afternoon to the listening audience. Thank you for hosting me here. I'm here to talk about the Jubilate, but also the concert that is going to happen on Saturday, October the 6th, which involves the Jubilate Orchestra as well as performers and a Grammy-nominated saxophonist, no less, Dr. Melvin Butler, who will be in our midst.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Cranston, when we look at students and we see especially sort of orchestral
arrangements.
Yeah. Now, not a musician,
yes.
And sometimes the things I listen to and try to, I would even say, repeat, wouldn't get confused with music by any means. But they say, like beauty is in the eye of the beholder. It's something wonderful about it.
It's amazing. It's amazing, and it's also amazing when you consider that the students who are playing in the Jubilate Orchestra are students in the primary school system, the government primary school system. What we also found amazing is where the students themselves, they are not only learning to play the instrument, but we also see where their academics have been improved, and some of these students are now being head boy, head girl, prefects. But we see where not only is it helping them musically, but also in the academic field. The students at the Jubilate have been improving musically, and when you started to listen now, we have increased to about 45 students from the time you heard us that last time. So the sound is also great. Not only that, they are taking the more leadership role in the orchestra. And, of course, we have some jubilant teachers, Mr. Antonio, who should be here, and Mr. Ewan Garcia and Miss Amelia. These teachers, including myself, we try our best not only to give them musical, but also to teach them how to behave as decent citizens. And the other team that is there for the homework and the homeroom, they have been work within them to be good ladies and gentlemen of the society and to help them with their homework. And that has been working. Our desire also, understanding how children are, they always like to be on show. Mm-hmm. So one of the things we wanted to do this time around is not only just to put them on show, but to put them on show with some of the top-rated musicians on island and internationally. So we have Mr. Glenn Inanga, who's the head of music at the UCCI. He will be coming and he will be playing Mr. Ewan Garcia they would be, and Mr. Antonio and even Miss Amelia working with the choir, they will be also playing. Then we have Mr. Melvin Butler, as Miss Bess had said, who will be coming as an international Grammy-nominated saxophonist. So we wanted to now bridge two gaps, because of course sometimes when people think about classical music, they will probably think it's something boring, but we wanted to do something with a more jazzy feel, to combine the jazz and the contemporary sounding music together to create this synergy that is unique to the island. And we not only want to do it at the Harkwell, but we want to expose it to the world. So we are recording that video recording so we can have it on YouTube, send it to some of these main media houses in the United States of America to say, hey, look at what is happening in the Cayman Islands. We have young people who are musically talented and gifted like no other.
I mean, Shana, the idea that music, so Shakespeare says, if music be the food, love play on, and there's something about it. It doesn't matter, the genre. If we can get students who are willing to exercise sometime, some would say discipline, they practice.
I think it's more opportunity.
Yep.
It's not the willingness. Just seeing from my own children being exposed to music, I've seen the differences in their personality, and to multiply that on the scale of the Jubilati Orchestra, it's amazing, because these are instruments that these children didn't think were suitable for them. When you think about the violin, you think, oh, it's something very formal, but then you have fiddlers and you actually can have fun with it. And that's what I'm learning as a parent, seeing my daughter perform, that she's having fun with the violin, even if it's not the classical way. But the most important thing is expression, and that's what we're seeing in the Jubilati Orchestra, is that expression and the joy. It's seriously, it's not to be missed.
Well, for those who haven't had a chance, and as the school years roll on, as your children get involved, many things are, as you say, opportunities are there. But get a chance to come and support, be a part of it, get your child introduced. That will help. Cranston, the idea that you take a student, as Shana shared, who ordinarily may not gravitate towards music. We create hurdles and impediments and perceptions and misconceptions and all sorts of
ways. Yes. No, which is true.
Yep.
When the students come to Jubilati, they were never there, as most of them were never gifted. Mm-hmm. They didn't even know whether or not they could play an instrument. What we as the teachers try to do is to let them know that there's so much greatness inside of you. Our challenge is to tap that greatness so that you can now express it in the way that you see out. So there's no limit to the greatness that you can get when you come into Jubilati, and that's what we try to do there.
Well, as we talk about Jubilati with Ms. Shana Bess, Mr. Cranston, let us, for those who don't know, let us understand the program. Is it 1 hour a week? One time a month? Is it every day for 15 hours? I mean, I know.
Yes. So first of all, the Jubilati program is an after-school program that is geared mainly towards the students who are in the primary school system, in the government system. Mm-hmm. So they come there every day, and life is filled with schedule. So just as we as adults has to have schedule, we try to teach these kids that they too have to have schedule. So they follow a rigid schedule where they would come. They have something to eat. Then we do a little session in terms of biblical, scriptural relevance and how to operate as good human beings. After that, then we go into split sessions where we teach musicianship. We have them working on the different instruments. And then after a while, we will have the orchestra coming. We'll have the choir coming together. So we teach them about teamwork, being working together to develop and for one specific goal, which is the orchestra or the choir making a performance. Mm-hmm. So you will hear them doing that. But it's an everyday thing, scheduled starting from when the bus take them there by at least 3:15, and they go all the way up to 6 o'clock every day. And the kids find that interesting. What we, as the teachers and the leadership of the program, what they have tried to do is, knowing how important it is to showcase the talent of the students, is to have different things that they do. So every 2 weeks we would have a performance at the Cayman Islands Baptist Church, and they would perform. They have thought of other really ways for them to be exposed. I won't say that here because it's something that is surprising and special to the program. But what we have tried to do this time around is to put the students on a stage with adults. So it's a different feeling when you're performing by yourself, but when you're performing with adults and international things. So, for example, at the concert, we have the UCCI dancers. Normally, you would have the dancers dancing to an instrumental track. We are making them dance to live instrumental music, which is something unique and different. So we're trying to do so many things that they would appreciate and that people would understand and appreciate when they see the Jubilate Orchestra.
And the thing, I think, you shared it, Michelle, earlier, that sometimes classical music in particular, even jazz, but classical specifically, we have a perception of it, and we see that, maybe it's on, we're not sure exactly what it is, but we hear it, and there's a thing that happens within us.
Yes.
But I recall, a concert with Chalice way back when there was a power failure, and the guys were, okay, we got a couple of choices here, but they're gifted musicians,
yes,
right? And all of a sudden, you heard reggae, but classical.
Classical, right? Because they can't play all the orchestral instruments too.
Yeah.
And they were playing the double bass and cello.
Yeah,
I remember that event. Yes.
And it was amazing, right? And if you're a fan and you thought you liked them then, you like them even more because these are guys. And the conversation that we had following that, the idea that, you have a perception of what a touring musician is like, but to see these guys having that gifting, not unlike our own Swanky Kitchen Band with some of those guys, and they're trained classically, but they can hit up the kitchen music.
But in truth, what in studying at Berkeley and all of that, what they're saying is that there must be a multidisciplinary approach to the music.
Yes.
So it's incorporating all the genres, all the stylistics, and making it where you as the musician, you're able to fall in whatever situation you are in. So if you must be classically trained, yes, have some knowledge of the other style of music, so you can stand in any circle and be able to deliver. And that's what Jubilate tried to do.
As we go into the break, and certainly we want to talk more about the concert and what I believe is an excellent program, I think a child should get as much time to play and get involved in athletics. Academics, without question, has to be key, but the arts, and in particular music and the ability to play instruments. With Jubilate, is this student, a musician, introduced and taught how to read notes as well?
The musician, that's why we have a course where we do we have the musicianship course where they teach the theory of music. What we try to do, as again the interdisciplinary approach, is that child will study to know to read the lines and spaces. Then musically, you are able now to apply that in your specific instrument area. So that's how the program operates. So every child, and at that age, what we have tried to do even at Jubilate, and I've introduced it even in my music ability in terms of teaching in the school that I am at, where there are so many app that we have on our phones and tablet that would allow us to read quicker than we make reading music so more interesting. So we find that the students themselves, they are now gravitated towards it because they can read the music from an app, and that we find that they are excelling even at a greater pace than it would in the normal sense. Because again, the music and the way music is taught and the way music is perceived in this modern generation is much, much more easier than how it was when, say, 20 years ago when I was studying music. They have so many things to their disposal that makes music easy, fun, and interesting.
See, I thought he was going to be honest 50 years ago when he was young.
I think, and that's something to say about the Jubilate program, is that it's not rigid in the sense that the children really enjoy themselves while they're there. And it's a proper music education because you're reading, you're playing, you're performing, and you're working together as a team, and you're also working as a soloist. So as a program, Jubilate is bar none. It's one of the best programs we have out there.
I'll be honest with you, when Pastor Randy broached it with me, seems like a long, long time ago, it's his enthusiasm and excitement. He just has this love for a community, and to be able to, see this come to fruition, where he was thinking, hey, we're going to bring this in, it's going to be introduced, got our students involved, widen the gap in very short order. Maybe we'll talk more about how long it's been, because it may seem like it's been here forever, but You can still count the years.
Yes, it's on one hand. We haven't completed one yet.
Exactly.
Yes. Yes.
All right, so when we come back, we get a chance to tell you more about the upcoming concert. Maybe there'll be ways that we can be of assistance, right, Miss Shanna?
Okay, we'll try.
We'll try. All right, please stay tuned for Talk Today.
The Premier League is back. Every team, every game, every goal is on Flow. Sign up for the Flow Sports Pack today and get 8 dedicated channels to all the Premier League games in stunning HD. Call 1-800-534-7253 or visit discoverflow.ky for more info. The Premier League is back.
Did you hear that Vant Motors has your sale going on now? And you get your choice on the money you'll save on your new car or truck?
My sale? My choice? Really?
Yeah! And they have lots of cars on sale. Some up to $7,000 off.
Sounds pretty good.
It gets even better. You can choose to take the full discount or you can get some or all of it as cash back.
Extra cash back would be great.
Exactly. And you can even use the savings to extend your warranty or service plan so you'll drive worry-free for years longer.
Another good idea.
If you want to upgrade with something like a new roof rack or backup camera, you can choose that too.
Wow, I get to choose?
Yeah, that's why it's your sale, your choice. Going on now at Vant Motors on Walkers Road, while stocks last.
Tune in every Monday through Friday from 3 to 6 p.m. for Radio Cayman Super Jam Show, the #1 drive time entertainment show on your radio, featuring Will Sinatra. Enjoy a mix of pop, hip-hop, reggae, and calypso, and an entertainment trivia section. The Super Jam Show is fueled by the proud sponsorship of Merengue Town. It's time to feel the rhythm, time to feel the vibes. It's time for Merengue Town.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us, and it's really is a delight, to be able to see not just the enthusiasm, the commitment, the dedication of the adults in our communities, whether teachers, parents, or others, but our children who recognize something, understand what it takes to get there. So when we talk about discipline and sacrifice, together with Shanna Bess and Mr. Constant Forbes, we talk about Jubilate. I think sometimes even parents, we don't recognize how our children understand that they're taking in the messages that we're sending them. You want to get better at football, well, you got to go to practice. You want to get better at your piano or your violin, well, as we say in Westbury, your violin, you go to practice. But it's even better when it's fun. The Jubilate and the concert coming up and the rest of it, Michelle, help us to really understand what's going on.
Okay, well, like I said earlier in the program, it's the Jubilate, it's the orchestra performing, and it's over 45 students, about that. Mm-hmm. And they're all on stage. Everybody has a role in the orchestra. That's the most important thing. So each student know that they can't let the other one down. They have to practice, and they have to be able to perform, because once you throw someone off, it changes the sound completely. And most importantly, they have to learn to listen to each other, and that's not something that we in society do well. We don't listen to each other. And at the orchestra level, you have to listen. And you have to be able to, ready to participate, and you come with a good attitude. Bad days, don't come with that. You come to perform. You have, there's expectation is there. And for anyone who is listening and thinking that, can we come to the actual concert? There are some limited tickets left because the event is almost sold out, but we reserve some tickets just for this show. So if they want, they can come to Radio Cayman. I'm going to have them stalk you, Sterling. And if it's possible, the first or the last caller, if it's open today, can definitely get the ticket. It's $25. It's the best value you'll ever spend to see those children play their heart out.
And this concert, as you shared, is this Saturday still at the Harkwell?
It's this Saturday at October the 6th at the Harkwell. Our start time is
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock. And I'll be very fair to you. We start at 7.
Yes.
Maybe we'll run late and start at 7:05, but it's going to be 7. So don't come 7:30 thinking, oh, well, they haven't started yet. No, they will be in full swing.
And the fact is that the performance is a performance like none other. For example, we have Pastor Randy and Dr. Stephanie Cooper from UCCI. They will be talking about the history behind the hymns. So there are so many different stylistics that we will be doing, but it's like a theater. And when you come into the theater, we're giving a taste of Cayman. So the kids will look professional. They will all dress in their bow tie, looking like an orchestra. But we are giving the setup of the place is going to be looking like Cayman. So you will see the Cayman feel from it. Because again, what we're trying to do is not just to have that the event at the Hartwell, but to have some form of documentation. Because one of the things we sometimes forget that if we don't document history, it will be left unnoticed. So we want to do that documentation through video, through recording, so that we can showcase the world as to what is happening here. I must hasten to say, though, that the Jubilati program is desirous of going into all the primary schools. So we have gone into all the primary schools on island except 2, which is the Georgetown Primary and the West Bay Primary. And there are plans actually now in work to get that done. And we are working, it's a non-profit organization, and we are working with, seeking sponsors and everybody to come on board to help us to get the young people in. You know, it's interesting because last year, May, was the first we had a graduation. And these students are still in the Jubilati program because they do not want to leave the program. That is how effective the program has been in the past 3 years in existence.
If I may ask, you're a music educator.
Yes, sir.
A trained, accomplished musician in your own right. Sometimes, us as a student musician or us as parents who are children, every day seem to, struggling our children along to music lessons. We don't seem to see the level of interest or progress. Now, I don't want to be accused of exaggeration at all. I certainly am very, very positive, always will be. This is what I've witnessed, and we'll let you be that, that arbiter that ensures that this is not an exaggeration. The student who comes in, school year starts in September, say, and by the end of the school year, so within a short 10 months, 9 months, I've seen the child not quite sure, well, the violin, do I put it on the head, do I turn it on his neck, is this the back to the front, to being able to confidently in that 1 year. Is that a fair assessment? The child has gone from, knowing the instrument, comfortable with the instrument, being able to.
The thing is, and what I've always said to parents, that one, learning to play an instrument, there are so many aspects to it.
Yeah.
You're teaching the child to be disciplined. At the same time, in studying, you know that music is not just playing the instrument. It covers all aspects of the educational life. For example, you have to understand mathematics in terms of looking at the notes, the value of the notes. It has some scientific elements of there. How the sound is produced. Wave sounds are produced through vibration. And how then you have the embouchure as you're playing. How do you get both to be working up and down in coordination with everybody? So there are certain disciplines. Now, discipline are taught over time. And the frequency you do that, the more you'll get at it. So sometimes you see the child not able to play one note. You, as a teacher, first have to work with that discipline before you can have the child playing. Sometimes parents do want the child to be playing as if they have years of experience. One thing I said to them, even the parents at the Jubilati, just imagine, in 1 year, if the child only goes to music class for 1 hour, or say 45 minutes, in 1 year, it's about probably 7 or 8 days worth of practice. But you're expecting that child to be an exceptional student within 8 days of practice. Because we look at it based on the length of time that they're teaching with the 145 minutes per hour per week. That really is a lot, just a short variable time for that child to be an exceptional person. If the child then put in the time, based on the love that they have, you will find that the child excel. And one of the things I'm glad about in this new society, this new era and advent of music, is that there are so many vehicles that will help that child to learn apart from the music tutor. We as a music teacher are facilitators. One of the things they tell you when I'm studying at Berkeley, they say, listen, there is no restriction. When I was studying many years ago, probably 30 other years ago, they would tell you, you cannot play the piano and play another instrument because that's unacceptable. If you're going to play the keyboard, that's it. So all I had to do was play the keyboard. And in some circles, the piano could not be played with the organ. Now they're saying, listen, do not restrict the child. The child has many gifts and many talents, as the Lord has says. So let that child utilize, give them the avenue to explore. And even on the instrument, don't say, okay, I'm giving you this. This is all I've given you. The child wants to know, what can I do with the 5 notes? 5 notes can play 10,000 songs. So why not let that child explore? Right. And that's how music is. It's more now exploratory.
And that's the thing, and I'm glad you shared that, because I think people start to recognize not only the time, the commitment, but because of that level of sort of progression. You see in the interest, the discipline, the approach, and then as you shared at the outset, that child is not only better amongst the team of the orchestra, of the participants, but in the classroom.
In the classroom.
In the home.
In the home.
And it comes down to, I think, a safe, nurturing, disciplined environment that has a high standard of expectation. Right, Mishana?
Absolutely.
She's like a parent. I know this.
No, I completely related, because I remember when my daughter first started violin, and it was the squeaking, and all the other parents and I are together, and we're like, oh no, do we have to put up with this? How long do we have to put up with this? And at the end of the 2 years, I won't say a year, at the end of the 2 years, we were like, wow, they sound good.
Yeah, man.
And we were like, no more squeaking. And we said to the teacher, thank you, no more squeaking. We don't have to listen to that again.
Thanks for sharing that. And I want to use the violin because I think for all of us, if not most of us, that is one instrument that seems to be a little bit, the guitar, the piano, the drums, yeah. But the violin, it has its approach. I mean, the cello is probably another one that is even more daunting, right? But once you get it, and that squeaking isn't there anymore. I still have the squeaking. I got WD-40, I got white, still squeaking. Now, the concert in the evening, you want to bless our listeners with a ticket?
Yes.
Okay, so if you can guess Miss Shana's first birthday that was celebrated with a cat, it was a Friday. Now, what question do you want to pose for us, Miss Shana?
I wasn't going to give them a question.
You wasn't going to give them a question?
No, I wasn't. I just said the first caller in. Enthusiasm wins today.
Enthusiasm wins.
That's lovely.
Well, look at Susan. I mean, she jumped up on her chair. Does she qualify? No, she's not jumping on her chair. Well, she is in her mind. She's like, wow.
It's enthusiasm and perseverance. So the first caller is enthusiasm and the last caller is perseverance.
All right. 949-8037 or 1-800-534-8255. If you like music, if you like to see students who have been very, very, desirous of sort of expanding, their horizons and to see their progression. I've seen, the practices and I've heard the squeaking. But man, I'll just sit there. So we do have a caller online. One caveat, if this isn't a West Bay, no, just kidding. We go to our phones. Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Thank you for sharing with us this afternoon.
Good afternoon, Sterling.
How are you today?
I'm well. How are you?
Oh, man. Very blessed and thankful.
Okay. So I call in for, I hope that I'm the first caller.
Well, Ms. Shana will determine.
Yes, you are.
There you
so
are.
Enthusiasm wins today.
Yeah, man. You will enjoy it. It is a wonderful evening.
Yes.
And I thank you for listening. Anything you want to share with us?
Music definitely makes a difference. I have a son who actually turned 22 today. But discipline and everything is a great part of the music. He actually plays 7 different instruments. So,
wow.
Is he on island?
Yes, he is.
Well, I think he needs to come and say hello to Jubilate because they want to see people who have, persevered, stayed with their instruments, played their music.
And we also have a open house where the student can come and perform as a special guest. So, you see, that's the kind of synergy we're looking for.
Yeah, man. It motivates and inspires and encourages others. So, hey, thank you and happy birthday to your son.
Okay, thank you.
We should sing happy birthday to him. Guess?
Oh, no.
Shannon, go ahead.
I'm not in the singing. I'm not in the singing business.
Right.
Sorry.
Respectfully, would you just kindly give Miss Susan your details? She'll get your phone number, your name, date of birth. She'll ask for your driver's license, your blood type. I think she may. No, just kidding. She's not going to ask for any of those things. Just give her the details, please. And congratulations, okay?
Sure, thank you.
All right, all right, I'm going to pause quickly. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, Shana, you can tell us more. We have another ticket to give away. A box of chocolate equally is in there. No, that's not true. Okay. All right, stay tuned.
It's your time, Cayman Islands. Time to have your say. The Cayman opposition will be hosting community meetings to discuss the future of Cayman's cruise industry. Get the accurate industry figures and ensure you have your say. Does Cayman lag behind our competitors? What are the complaints from passengers? And are tenders workable? Get the truth and help ensure Cayman's future cruise industry remains bright. Phase 1 of the opposition island-wide meetings will take place at 7:30 p.m. on Tuesday, October 2nd, Northside Civic Center. Wednesday, October 3rd, Town Civic Center, and Thursday, October 4th, Savannah Primary School Hall. Phase 2 of the district meetings will be scheduled next week. It is your time, Cayman Islands. It is time to have your say. The Cayman opposition, safeguarding our future.
Congratulations, it's a boy.
During the greatest events of your life, whether or not you have the right health insurance coverage should be the last thing on your mind. That's why at Fidelity Health, we are committed to helping you get matched with the right plan to suit you and your family. We offer a range of plans to suit your budget, plus access to a network of quality care throughout the Caribbean and the USA. You can relax and enjoy life's greatest moments when you are covered with Fidelity Health. Call us today at 949-7822 for a free quote.
Honey, our fridge has stopped working again. Everything in the freezer is melting. We need to get this repaired right away. I'm calling Brand Source Service.
When you need the very best appliance service, call Brand Source Service at 623-5000. Offering service and installation of all brands and models of appliances. Brand Source Service is Cayman's source for appliance parts and repairs with qualified and experienced technicians and the island's largest stock of appliance parts. Brand Source Service will have your repair completed in a flash. So, whatever the problem is, call the experts at 623-5000. Brand Source Service, Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park. Telephone 623-5000.
The NCVO needs your help. Tune in to the annual radio telethon on Saturday, October 20th at 7 p.m. for the best in local entertainment, including C&B, Trinity, Little Magic, Roy Bodden, and High Tide. Call in, pledge any amount, or donate online at CaymanGiftCertificates.com to be entered to win over $5,000 worth of prizes. The NCVO's annual radio telethon is broadcasted live from Prospect Playhouse on Radio Cayman and Cayman 27. The NCVO is one of Cayman's oldest charities dedicated to the care, education, and well-being of children and families in need of support. Tune in to Radio Cayman and please help us help our children. The annual Radio Telethon, Saturday, October 20th, 7 p.m. to midnight, live from Prospect Playhouse.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back to Talk Today. Thank you for joining us, and congrats again to the last caller who I believe is going to experience a wonderful evening. And as she shared, her son is gifted with ability to play 7 instruments. I was counting during the break. So if I played Radio Cayman and Breeze FM, that's 2 instruments. No, I can only play 2 radio. Okay. But our students in our society, I think, Ms. Shana, we probably don't recognize how talented they are, or how disciplined, or how willing they are to at least try. Whether it's a new sport or a new instrument, even sometimes a new vegetable, we just need to give them that opportunity, as you shared at outset. Jubilate, has done that, continues to do that. So commend you and all the team and the parents as well to make sure that the children stick to it. Now, I know you're going to bless another listener with a ticket for the concert. It is sold out, just about, right?
Yes.
But it's going to be this Saturday evening, you said, at the Harquail at 7 p.m.
Yep. Start time is pretty much 7 o'clock.
Yeah. Well, that's something that I said is mindful that there are even some of us who can go back, generationally, some of us who have only been there recently, talk about, Caribbean time or Cayman time or Island time. I say this with the greatest. In my household, my daughter told you, listen, you're going to be there at 6:57 in 32 seconds. You better be there a lot earlier, because 33 seconds, you missed the boat.
I'm speaking from experience. Jubilate starts on time.
Yep. So that's what we need in our society, and it's the tradition of musicians with the discipline, but it's also something that is reflected in the seafaring heritage. The boat sail, unless there was something where she couldn't, right? Even on a fishing trip. All right, for our listeners, in order to get Miss Shana back to her other scheduled life, we want to give a ticket to another caller. Let me see. Susan and I was talking during the break, and we could think this caller who calls in and can do a rendition of Shakespeare's Twelfth Night. No, that's kid. The next caller, you think?
Get the next caller, you have to tell me what instrument Dr. Melvin Butler is going to play.
Ooh, okay. And you did say that very early. He's world renowned.
Grammy nominated.
Yeah, in a particular
Carnegie Hall, Lincoln Hall, pretty much everywhere.
I mean, his Grammy was 4 years ago. He's taught, I think, Yale as well. I believe.
Yale, Chicago, University of Virginia. He's right now at University of Miami, which is right next door. Mm-hmm. He's an academic. He's a musician. He's a very gifted person and a very generous person because, Dr. Butler's coming because he wants to share with our children what you can do with a music education. And he literally has a music education.
Yeah, well, that's why I think music can take us sometimes in so many places that we don't always appreciate. The travel, but also that door that it will open.
I think as parents we were a little slower to the game because the way our economy was structured. But I was at my daughter's current school, and the music teacher said to me, he's been waiting 20 years for this because they have an orchestra too. He said, I'm so happy that parents realize that you can exceed and excel, and you can do it with music or in music. Yeah.
It is that thing. So, question on the table, Dr. Melvin Butler. That's Butler, for those of you who are going to use your search engines. Correctly answer the question, what instrument does he play? Get a ticket to a wonderful evening of watching not just students in the Jubilata, but some visiting
professional world-class performances. And I just almost gave away the instrument because it's one of the most melodious instruments in the orchestra. It's perfect for jazz, if that's the clue. Yeah. When you hear it, you just can't help but smile.
Should I even say that there was a particular, president in some part of the world?
Yes, and funny enough, I found a quote that said, he said that he wouldn't be where he was if he didn't have music. Yeah. And I was like, really?
I was thinking it's the wife, but I mean,
no.
He might have said music.
No, he said music. Well, that's true.
Okay, with that, you should know with whom we talk. But the idea that is truthfully what music can, and when we look back to say, I think of Swanky Kitchen Band, for instance, and I look at all of the musicians in there. I mean, from Brown Sugar, she'll tell you what she does with the gritter. For many people, they don't appreciate how, as an instrument, how incredible that is. Now, whether Sam or, Daniel or other the guys, as they look at what they have there, it's amazing what you can do. You talk to your parents and grandparents and the dances that they would have, the way that they socialize, and who played music as you shared back in the day. It wasn't always, as easy and accessible as it is today.
No, it isn't. But one thing I do love about music is the joy of music. And I think once you have children and you as an adult are exposed to the joy of music, it just touches your soul. There is nothing, to me, it's one of the most amazing genres or expressions that humans have is music. I may not like your music, but I can still relate to it, even if it's just a rhythm, even if it's just a beat. You can't beat it, absolutely.
Well, that is just the thing. It's something about music, and some of us, we have a particular style of music that we like. Some of us have a particular instrument. May I ask you, what is, if you were ever going to be...
I can tell you because I had to share it with my children as they started to learn instruments. They're like, well, what instrument did you play, Mommy? I said, I am a failed violinist. And they're like, what? I said, every sharp was flat and every flat was sharp. It was very painful.
No, but that's the thing, and I recall some years ago the Ant Trio, they were there as part of the performance, for the Arts Festival, and to watch these ladies within a church, sanctuary perform, not just the respect that they had for the instruments or for the space, but for the audience and the willingness that they engage, and to watch them just sit there and perform, and to do that and to understand that they were there because they wanted to be, because they were prepared to put what it took, day in and day out. As Constance said earlier, you're talking about as a parent taking your child to music lessons, maybe twice a week, but probably just one, probably because respectfully it takes money, right? And many times you really can't afford even to buy the healthier foods. Now you're thinking, yes, I want a child to get extra tuition for marketing.
It is a sacrifice. That, I mean, from my own personal experience, I started with free, and then I got into paid, and then I'm like, okay, well, if you're going to do these things, you have to put in the dedication, you have to put in the practice. And maybe I'm a little different to some parents. I'm probably more alike than we think. I said to them, I have 2 girls. I said to the girls, at a certain point in time, I expect that when you pick up the instrument, you would put in this amount of quality time, and you'll see the benefit of the hard work. Now, I have one daughter that's very shy, so she puts in the hard work, but no one ever gets to hear it or see it, but my husband and myself. And I said, well, you have an audience of 2, that works. And then my other daughter, who's also playing on Saturday night, she puts in the work, and she plays in a public audience, and I'm fine with that. I'm smiling. It's just the same way. But I think you have to hold yourself accountable, and it's not easy, but you have to hold your children accountable too. Yeah, especially if you're paying for lessons. Money is not cheap, and it's not free, and your time is as valuable. And I've said, there's so many children who would love to have these opportunities. So when you see them, take them. And my children went to Savannah Primary School, and they had a very strong music program when my girls, well, one is still there, when my girls were there, and they pretty much encouraged, they made it easy for parents to access the instruments by loaning us the instruments. I don't even think we had to pay a fee. We just had to sign a note saying that we would take care of it and that we would see that the children practice. And what I must say about the Jubilate is that has opened that whole spectrum of music to parents who would be very challenged to even provide the level of music tuition, and the fact that the instruments are there, and they pick the children up, they take care of them, they do homework, and they play and they practice. And Jubilate program has opened that up for so many parents in Cayman, and I only wish it was bigger so every child in Cayman can benefit from it. And I must say to the listening audience, if you have extra resources and you say, well, I'm not sure what I'm going to do this month, or I have instruments that are in the cupboard that my children don't play anymore, or they're not the right size, give it to Jubilate. I had a small violin that my children outgrew, and there was no sense in me keeping it. I took it to Jubilate.
I think that's where, when we look at what Jubilate in particular, and as I shared when Pastor Randy mentioned that way back, it was something that I think we can start to see immediately, and in short order we're going to see even more so on a greater scale. As Mr. Farber shared, the idea that you're going to have all of the government schools participate, the primary school. Eventually, I would love to see it, for us as parents, as adults, in the evenings. It creates a greater sense, So, very much appreciate you sharing time with us, Ms. Shana, and honored to be able to continue to help you to not just promote, the arts and Jubilate in particular, but to celebrate with parents, with teachers, with all the adults, and with their students, so that they can see, what it takes to succeed and what they are, success taste like?
Well, it's hearing success.
Yes.
You get to hear success on Saturday night.
I see what a taste is. Oh, a taste is so sweet. Thanks very, very much, Mel.
All right. Thank you again, and I appreciate being here.
Oh, it's an honor. It really is, and I'm glad to see. So for those of you, continue to support the arts, and in particular, if you can get involved with Jubilate in whatever form, I'm sure the more positively engaged we are, the better. All right. Let's pause and hit our news. When we come back, more Talk Today.
89.9 Radio Cayman helps you to weather the storm during this hurricane season.
One of the most crucial elements of hurricane preparedness is storm awareness. During the season, it is of utmost importance to pay attention to the latest local weather forecast, as hurricanes do not suddenly form or strike. There are various methods of advanced notification. Utilizing such may be the difference between a favorable outcome and disaster. Both television and radio serve as excellent mediums with up-to-the-minute storm path information in the wake of a hurricane. Another method of tracking a hurricane may be only arm's length away. Your smartphone or tablet can be your most valuable tool before, during, and after a storm, providing countless numbers of apps with crucial hurricane information. Many apps allow you to track storms with moving radar and satellite imagery, plus offer alerts, current conditions, forecasts, advisories, and even video.
This hurricane preparedness tip was brought to you by your community radio station, Radio Cayman, 89.9 FM.
From district to district, moving through the waters to Cayman Brac and Little Cayman. Your station, your voice. All things Cayman. One radio, many people. This is home.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman. Headline. Radio Cayman's newsroom. Headline. These are the biggest stories right now.
36-year-old Joseph Hurlston of Georgetown has now been formally charged with assault by grievous bodily harm and wrongful confinement in relation to an incident on the morning of Wednesday, September 26th, involving a woman known to him. It is reported that the woman was held against her will and assaulted. He appears in court this afternoon. Good afternoon, I'm Dion Anglin with your headlines and news elsewhere. U.S. President Donald Trump is facing criticism from fellow Republicans after he mocked a woman who says she was assaulted by his Supreme Court nominee. Senators Jeff Flake and Susan Collins, both key votes to confirm Brett Kavanaugh, called Mr. Trump's remarks appalling and just plain wrong. At a rally, Mr. Trump poked fun at Christine Ford for not recalling key details of the alleged assault. Footballer Cristiano Ronaldo has firmly denied raping a woman in a U.S. hotel room almost a decade ago. The 33-year-old Juventus forward said he was calm over any and all investigations as he had a clear conscience over the allegation that he attacked Catherine Mayorga in a Las Vegas hotel room in 2009. He spoke out ahead of her lawyers giving a press conference today. And authorities in Indonesia say they have identified individuals spreading hoaxes following the earthquake and tsunami that devastated parts of Sulawesi and killed more than 1,400 people. The government has released a list of 8 instances of fake news being spread on social media and chat platforms, which it says are incorrect. That's a wrap of your headlines. I'm Dion Anglin.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands. What's happening in your community? News and information, music and more. You can find us. www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us here on this wonderful Wednesday. And Wednesdays, it's just for some another day ending in Y, and for others, it's forward progression. 949-8037 or 1-800-534-8255. It's open line. As you know, there is road safety conference ongoing in the country. We'll hear more about it as we follow the media. But why not take the opportunity now to share with us your thoughts in relation to any issue that you may want. Hey, it may be something positive and constructive. It may be something that is, what is it that our elders used to tell us? It get stuck in your craw and you want to just get off your chest or whatever it is. Hey, we're happy to engage you in your thoughts. If you want to maybe spark a discourse on a particular issue, whether it's relation to education, whether it's about the government and its desire to move the country forward, and you think, hey, we need to get behind them, or no, we need to keep them in check. What is the private sector? I share with you that specifically. Earlier this morning, a fellow was saying, we beat up on government, but do we ever try to hold the private sector more accountable? Is it just a free-for-all that they can go and make as much and do as much? Well, we'll see. Let's go to our phones. Hey, good afternoon and welcome. You're on Talk Today.
Yes, Sterling. I tried to get in before those folks left, talking about that Jubilati program, which I think is under the sort of umbrella of the Baptist Church on what is it, Pedro Castle Road. No?
Yes, sir. Cayman Baptist Church. Yes.
And I thought it's very fitting that church or that community is doing that type of programming. Mm-hmm. Because if you look back, and Pastor Rhonda Van Cannell is pastoring that church now.
Yes, sir.
If you look back to about 1978, 79, he was really the one that started introducing school children to orchestral type music.
Right.
I think he helped form the first one of those school bands of the kind at Triple C.
Yeah, he was a music teacher. Yes.
Yeah, and well, he's a very, very good musician also. But I think God thought it very appropriate that sort of trend is still continuing within his sphere. And it sounds like a great program. I'm sure it'll pay a lot of dividend in the future.
Well, I share with you, and I think it has, and it will. And if Pastor Randa doesn't mind, us speaking so positively about it, he's a gentleman who not only loves the Lord, but has a strong love for this country and the community. And years ago, when he had said, here's a program that they're trying to bring to the country to introduce to the primary school students, across the board, I think he would probably say, the only sort of concern he's had is that, can we find the space to get all the students involved so that, whether they're in East End or in West End, that they'll be able to participate. And they're growing, 3 short years, and already they have a significant, cohort. So it is, as you shared, something that is beneficial.
I think probably the first public appearance of that band or orchestra, whatever, that he formed was at, I believe it was at one of the Remembrance Day ceremonies.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just thought I'd poke that in there because I think it's very appropriate that we keep those kind of things up front with us.
Yes, sir. No, I commend you, man. And I agree with you, and I think that it is... be careful, because education is something that I believe, I say it without question, is one of the pillars in any society. And I would love, if it is at all possible, for every single school child in every single school to be able, during the school day, just like they would go to a recess or they would go to a math class, that they would equally be able to go to some music class, whether they're going to be, singing as part of a choir or solo, or whether they're going to be working their voice and dance and drama or practicing an instrument. I think that is just as much, part of their education and, holistic development as it is learning, the 3 R's,
Yep. Yeah, so. All right. Well, thanks.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for sharing. As we go to our phones, hey, good afternoon and welcome. Oops, sorry, that caller. Listen, maybe we addressed your thing. Maybe you said, boy, you're talking too much. Get back to me later. 8949-8037 or 1-800-534-8255. Hey, come along and share with us, man. Give us your thoughts, your input. The day is always better because you're a part of it. Let's hear what you have to share. Now, I was saying that I had a chance earlier to chat with 2 individuals, and let me just share with you what they said, because they didn't put too many restrictions on it. They said that we live in this society where we've introduced a number of sort of legislative amendments. We've even introduced new laws, one of which is the Freedom of Information. Under that, we can ask government agencies for certain information, and it's up to them, unless it's specifically excluded by law, to say, nope, you can't have it. We have a data protection legislation that's expected to come in, January next year, maybe towards the end of it, that we're seeing globally, data protection finally getting, as one developer said, that level of attention that it needs. So he recalls, as a person living and working in the U.S. in particular, that you would get calls in the evenings from different people who seem to know a whole lot about you and your spending habits. In your mail, you would get, these bundles of things, and it was just, bulk mail targeted towards you. Sometimes you purchase something, and all of a sudden you get a coupon or something else that obviously reflected that purchase that you earlier had made, even the day before, or a week, or even sometimes, more, distant past. But are we looking at what information and the privacy and accessibility? And he said that if you look, for instance, that the Central Planning Authority, publishes its minutes, we can go and look at it. But he's wondering to what extent are we conscious of what is happening in the private sector. We are, without question, and as we should, maybe ensure that public officials are doing a job because they're serving the public good. But if a private sector entity, a developer, for instance, purchases a tract of land or decides to demolish a particular building to maybe have it rezoned and something else redeveloped, or they want to expand, should the public be more involved, have an opportunity to become, before anything happens, aware of what is being proposed? Now, he shared that he asked that question of a few of his sort of contemporaries, and they thought, well, wait a minute, you're in business. You want to be able to keep as much of the information confidential. That's part of what made us, a successful financial jurisdiction, in that, people know that there were, some element to preserving their private affairs. And unless something was improper or there was a request from a competent authority elsewhere, well, through our own, then you just can't come and access what you want. Naturally, that discussion led into this whole issue of whether this beneficiary registry is necessary for Cayman, or whether we'll even be able to put a level of protections in place. But he said, even before we go beyond our borders, what about in our own area? He gave us an example. I was looking through only because he became aware of it after the fact, and to see that the planning authority had granted, planning permission for a particular project. And he said, he doesn't live next door to the project, but certainly the project, would affect him as a citizen in the country. The government would have to make some, infrastructure improvements. Perhaps, as cyclists, pedestrians, and motorists and the like, we were going to probably be not only during construction, but perhaps after construction, be affected by this project in some scope. And he said, gave us an example. There was some site works being done, whether it was the drilling of deep wells or the moving of heavy equipment and the like, and that in itself impeded traffic. It made the road for a while, either wet or messy. And he said, is there something that should happen that triggers the public's involvement? Now, he gave some perspectives. What is yours? 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255. Likewise, if you choose and you would prefer to WhatsApp, I invite you to do so. 925-3261. It is open line. Share your thoughts with us. Now, the fellow's view was simply that perhaps when we're looking at planning applications, as we're thinking of, perhaps devolving some of the power away from central government, perhaps that devolution could extend to when we sort of decentralizing and making it, a greater sense of involvement of the community, perhaps in each district. Now he recognizes that because we have electoral districts, some may feel well you got maybe a little bit too much, but in the districts as we know them, perhaps across the country, just like we have, he says, the precedent already exists, that we have a planning authority for Grand Cayman. We also have one in place for Camelback and Little Cayman, just as we make concessions in relation to duties and fees and the like for businesses on Camelback and Little Cayman compared to Grand Cayman. Could we not extend that? So, for instance, if within East End there was a major development, should not that be of greater concern for those in that community? And if it was, and they were required to have a meeting in that district, wouldn't that be better? And perhaps give the country and the citizens a chance to directly share their views. Let's go back to our phones. Good afternoon and welcome. You're on Talk Today.
We're starting train number 1, New Kingston.
Hey, good afternoon, sir. How are you today?
I'll tell you when I said doctor.
All right.
I promise you that.
Well, I hope the doctor, what's that song? Give me the thing where the doctor order me. I hope he order you something good.
And then the thing where the doctor order you, it can care you too.
Susan will play that one for you later, man.
Yeah, I know that.
All right.
I just called to say 2 things. I want to congratulate Susan on getting that award from that government award.
Yes.
She deserved that.
Very much so,
Well, I don't know how you feel, anybody else, but I'm telling you how I feel.
Well, it is, I think we all collectively share that, Susan, and then prior to that, our own Joel Wilson as well. And I think...
And Dr. Boom.
Our team here, you don't, even though the on-air talent, you may hear them, be familiar with them, you don't always recognize the amount of work and effort and time that they go through because they're not necessarily front and center. But thank you for recognizing that, and I know you've always been a great champion of Miss Susan. She's incredible. She said the only thing that she really wished that would have really put her over the top if she was a West Bayer. But other than that, she's like near perfection.
I tell you what, when it comes to music, you don't have nobody else that can hurt her.
I agree with you, man.
Not a soul. Yeah. And if that offends her, well, I'm sorry too, because I said it.
She's humble and kind, and perhaps maybe like most of us, when we get compliments, we go, shucks, it's nothing to that. But we're getting there to say thanks.
Yeah, but the second thing I want to say is just I want to remind the government, especially to Representative Camelback, fix that place up at the hospital so the wheelchair people can have space to come out when it's raining. Get on it. Stop worrying about cruise ship. If you don't want dock down, build a dock up here, send the cruise ship. They can take them here, get them people enough time, and then they can get things going, have more taxi, get it going on the bluff.
Now, what else you would believe that the government should look at, specifically for Camelback and Little Cayman, Camelback specifically? They
need to get more things going here, like encouraging more business to come here to give more work. Because every year when the children graduate, they have to leave and come down here to look work. No cell phone you ringing, you're going to have to wait. Tough luck.
But that might be the government calling you now and say, listen, we're on our way.
Wait, because I had to wait too.
Now,
I say that they need to get more things going here. And if Cayman don't want them cruise ship, come build one up here and send one and get things going and extend the dock up here so we can get the ship coming direct from Miami. Because the last time we had stuff come from there, we never get things until they're gone.
Right.
They must have been nearly 2 weeks old. Coming from Miami and then coming back here. No.
All right. Well, this is I think as politicians and policymakers in particular sometimes are able to hear, as you have done so wonderfully over the years, directly from the public. Can I also ask of you, if you may, I gather that some of the street lighting along the roads, some people have shared that they're not as brightly lit as they could be. Not that you want Camelback to lose its ambience and charm, but in the evenings, some have shared that they feel, in particular, some areas the roads could be not only changed to make them more energy efficient, but brighter, so increasing the road safety and the like, allowing people to be able to see oncoming, cars and pedestrians and other road users. Is that, to your knowledge, something that it perhaps needs to be addressed?
Even though they got street light, they're very dim.
Dim, yeah, sir.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I'm.
Because I know, like when I go to church sometime and they're bringing me back home and think certain places is a street light, you have to look good to see up on the side of the road. Mm-hmm. And I only got one, anyhow, so.
Wow. That even makes it more.
That's still good. It can see a mile away.
And around corners too, I hear.
Hush, don't tell the public. They make government know that now, they'll probably take that one. I'll put that up in the house for as a special view.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I just hope they listen to me. Minister of Health, Kurt Tibbs, Juliana Conley, whichever one you want to go by.
Mm-hmm.
Alden, everyone up in the party. On to try and get that hospital thing fixed so that when people go there and rain is pouring down, they don't have to be sitting down outside waiting for rain down before they can get in a wheelchair to get inside. And even that includes me.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and I'm saying it out again, and I'm not going to stop till they do it. And put that cruise ship back here. If opposition don't want it down there, send one up here. Encourage the cruise ships to start coming next year. Make the people here do something and get the place going and put brighter lights.
Indeed, sir. Thank you for sharing with us, and I trust you enjoy the rest of the afternoon.
But don't take Radio Cayman.
All right. Well, maybe we relocate our headquarters to Camelback, but that's about it.
Well, that would be good, too.
There you go. Yeah, man.
Yeah. Don't make promises you can't keep.
No, that was a promise. I said maybe we could.
That's all we always hear is maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, but the may never come. You can always hear about B.
Yeah, but may the B be better than the me. Yes, sir.
That's for yourself.
All the best, sir.
All right, thank you.
Take
bye.
care. All right. With that, let's pause quickly and take a short break. We invite you to be a part of our continued discussion on this open line segment of Talk Today, 949-8037 or 1-800-534-8255. Please stay tuned for Talk Today.
A trip to New York City is the experience of a lifetime. Starting this December, Cayman Airways will be offering daily non-stop flights from Grand Cayman to New York City. That's right, Cayman Airways is going daily to New York City starting this December. Stroll through Central Park or take in the bright lights of Times Square, enjoy a Broadway show or visit museums, the Empire State Building, and so much more. Whether you're visiting for business or pleasure, you'll fall in love with New York City. And daily non-stop flights from Grand Cayman aboard Cayman Airways starting this December. For details and to book, call Cayman Airways reservations at 949-2311. Contact a travel agent or visit CaymanAirways.com.
It's your time, Cayman Islands. Time to have your say. The Cayman opposition will be hosting community meetings to discuss the future of Cayman's cruise industry. Get the accurate industry figures and ensure you have your say. Does Cayman lag behind our competitors? What are the complaints from passengers? And are tenders workable? Get the truth and help ensure Cayman's future cruise industry remains bright. Phase 1 of the opposition island-wide meetings will take place at 7:30 p.m. on Tuesday, October 2nd, Northside Civic Center, Wednesday, October 3rd, Buttontown Civic Center, and Thursday, October 4th, Savannah Primary School Hall. Phase 2 of the district meetings will be scheduled next week. It is your time, Cayman Islands. It is time to have your say. The Cayman opposition, safeguarding our future.
From happy beginnings to happy ever after,
BritK protects your lifestyle with the best insurance cover at the best possible price.
Health insurance with far-reaching benefits.
95% of claims settled in 5 days.
Low-cost life insurance.
And investments.
Security in retirement.
With a custodian pension plan.
For happy beginnings and a happy ever after,
visit BritK.ky or call 949-8699.
BritK, where people come first.
At Seaboard Marine, customers often ask us questions about their shipments.
Hi, I'm thinking of buying a car from the States.
Which port do you ship out of?
Hi, we ship out of Miami, Houston, and Brooklyn. Just let us know your port of choice and we can provide you with a quotation and answer any questions you may have on insuring and protecting your vehicle during its journey.
Shipping shore to shore,
It's an all-white affair by Webster Memorial United Church. Saturday, October 13th at Pedro Castle. A night filled with fellowship, entertainment, and your favorite Caymanian dishes with all the trimmings. All for only $25. Tickets are available at all United Church locations or by calling 526-0444. Don't miss the lineup of Lammy Seymour, Women of Purpose, William White, and Samuel Rose. The all-white affair, Saturday, October 13th at Pedro Castle. Call 526-0444 or visit any United Church to get your tickets today.
Did you know that recycling collection containers are located island-wide on Grand Cayman? The Department of Environmental Health's program is an integral part of DEH's waste management responsibility in the Cayman Islands. Start your recycling program at home today. Put your Type 1 and 2 plastics in appropriate DEH recycling containers at all Foster's supermarkets, Kirk Market, or Hurley's Grand Harbor. Please keep the Cayman Islands clean. Reduce, reuse, and recycle. For more information about recycling, go to www.deh.gov.ky.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. It is open line 949-8037 or 1-800-534-8255. We invite you to be a part of our continuing open line program here on Talk Today. Share your thoughts with us as you so choose. 949-8037 or 1-800-534-TALK. Likewise, you can always WhatsApp if you so choose. 925-3261. Share your thoughts with us as you believe are important within our communities, if you want to share and be healthy. Now, just before the break, we were sharing with you a conversation with two, they're not civil servants nor engaged directly in, to the best of my knowledge, even indirectly with the, government in any which way or format. So we call them perhaps business people, private sector employees. I don't know. But they were saying, why is it then that we hit the governments, whether it's this one, the one prior, or the ones to come after, but we never look at the private sector? He was sharing as an example of a particular project that he only became aware of after the fact. Not that he would have perhaps objected to it or thinks that the project is necessarily bad in any which way, but got him to thinking, if a project of this nature is coming to the planning authority for approval, could we not extend that, so instead of being a central planning authority, maybe we could have some of that input at a more local level? And his view was that in each of the electoral districts, as it were, the traditional districts that we know, issues that are going to be up for planning permission, perhaps as a commercial or other issue, they would have to have some sort of meeting, perhaps even to the extent we could even allow it that the approval comes from that local planning authority. And with that in mind, he says the precedent already exists, so that Cayman and Little Cayman has its Development Control Board. We have the CPA here on Grand Cayman. Could we then have the planning, input at the very least from those within each district? So if it's East End or West Bay, if it's Georgetown, or if it's North Side or Bordentown, each district has a chance to know what is happening. If nothing more than a requirement to have some sort of public meeting within the district civic centers, the town halls, or the like, that this particular project. Now he says nothing, that would be overly expensive nor cumbersome. But given that district, hey, a new hotel is going to be built in your area, a piece of property is up for rezoning, the government plans to perhaps build a new road through here, or widen this road, or close this road, or things that are going to materially and directly impact that particular area. Now, with that in mind, let me ask of you a question that we asked of them. The airport the cruise port and the dump, the landfill, the waste management facility, whatever we're going to call that one, do you think that those projects, actually, let's just focus on the Georgetown port. Do you think that is a project that is a project for Georgetown, or is it a national project? And I ask you that because the gentleman shared that when we were talking about the landfill, some would say, well, if they're moving it to Bordentown or any other district, then we're thinking that, this is an issue for Bordentown, or having the landfill remain where it's at, or addressing the issue. Well, that's for the Georgetown voters and politicians. Now, he shared specifically that seemed to have been how it was being portrayed during some of the campaign cycles, not just only this last one or the one prior, but for as long as he can remember, And yes, the landfill, the dump, whatever you want to call it, is in, Georgetown. Yes, there was consideration of, a site in Bordentown being a potential site. But is that an issue that is only, for Georgetown or Bordentown, or is it a national issue? And likewise with the proposed cruise port project, is that in the Georgetown Harbour, so therefore it's Georgetown, or is this a national issue? If it is a national issue, is it because it's potentially could be one of the largest capital projects to date that the government has undertaken? What is your view? 949-8037, or you can WhatsApp if you prefer to share a thought with us in that vein. 925-3261. If you want, you can send us an email, talktoday@candw.ky. But we would invite you to call and share your thoughts, engage our listeners, perhaps pose some questions, perhaps put forward some possible answers and solutions. At least encourage others to engage in dialogue and to show that within our country we have not just a healthy democracy, but one that is, through its citizens participating very openly and publicly, one that can stand the test of time. 949-8037 or 1-800-534-8255. You share your thoughts with us. So, with respect to the cruise port project, do you think that is, as some have alleged, well, that's in the Georgetown Harbour, so like the dump, it's Georgetown, or is it, as more and more I was sharing, wait a minute, these are national projects, not only because of the amount of money that's being spent, but these are things that are going to affect not just today, not just tomorrow, not just the next generation, but several generations to come, and potentially not because again of the amount of money that's going to be spent, not just because of any impact on the environment or the society in any way, but the sheer magnitude and scope of the project. Well, projects like that have to have some level of public input. Now, you may say, well, that should extend to a referendum. You say, well, nope, that should only be through the process that we've duly elected a government who's set about on the path, and as long as they follow, a correct and legal, process, then hey, that's what goes on. That's the way governments in a democracy work. Weigh in and share with us what you think. 949-8037 or 1-800-534-8255. As we get ready to connect up our calls, the fellow was sharing that when we look again at private sector and we look at whether it's, and he said planning approval for projects, probably the easier of all of the lot to look at more closely. Partly because there is the Freedom of Information law, partly because the minutes of the CPA are published. But he said, because we see the impact of a project. The other day, the property on the South Bay Beach that was cleared, and presumably a lot of the turtle nests were disturbed. Now, will there be consequences for that? If, as alleged, that sort of clearing by the heavy equipment had taken place without the requisite approvals in hand, what sort of sanctions are there? Even during the construction, what sort of monitoring are going on? But equally, he said, after the fact, the wonderful buildings are there, lots of money pumped into the economy, and we have another great product on our shelves, as it were. But what does that do for the surrounding, sort of ecosystems? How will it affect nesting turtles going forward. What does it do for the traffic flow in and out? A number of things that transpire. Now, he also shared that one of the things that has to happen, and he says it's something that, he I only wish I could, with the same level that he shared it. He said he's finding himself increasingly, wanting to agree more and more with Mr. Miller. That's the Honourable Opposition Leader, Mr. Ezra Miller. He says we see many times an application to rezone a particular parcel of land in an area. So there's one, I believe, out now for, we've seen the public domain. A certain parcel of land is being up for rezoning to high density residential. He thought, well, what about the other surrounding lands? Should they not benefit from that rezoning, as Mr. Miller has shared? If that zoning is granted, how would that affect the other lands, positively or negatively? Now, he also went as far to share that if you look in the newspaper for that, application, and you see the rezoning, and turn a few pages over, and you see, lands, apartments, and like for sale, is that the same property? Are they, as he shared, seems to be, the common practice now. Even before planning permission is granted, properties, apartments in particular, can be offered for sale. Now, he thought, well, even if on the bottom it says, well, subject to plan approval, he thought, well, should you not have, that in hand before? He thinks, well, if you go into the supermarket and you're putting goods in your carts, when you get to the cash register, you presumably should have a means to pay for that. Whether that is a gift certificate, your credit card, your debit card, your check, your cash, that has to be, legitimate cash, not, something you printed off on a photocopy in the way in, and not a check leaf but no funds in the account. So should it not be the same with planning permission? How many times, he said, recently we've seen that, properties are being advertised for sale, probably all sold out, but planning permission, presumably is only granted long after the fact. Are we, or as he said, creating an environment where the developer say, well, look, we've got this thing already in hand, if you don't give us permission, now we stand to lose, this amount of money. He's wondering, are we always, like with so many things, putting the cart before the horse? 949-837 or 1-800-534-8255. You can call and share your thoughts with us. If you want to WhatsApp, 925-3261. We also had a couple of messages, phone calls. I don't want to necessarily say complaints, because there was one individual in particular who was saying, you don't want to sound like a broken record, but sometimes something, needs to be repeated continually for it to be addressed. He gave us an example. His challenge that he has with a particular employee. Now, he gave me, as what they say, the backstory. The employee has had a few patches in his history where his employment hasn't been continuous, and he may have had a few brushes with the legal authorities and the like. But he believes that the employee at least deserves another chance and seemingly wants to, get on the right path and stay on that course. The employee has shared, that I'm late for work, but only because I don't have a ride directed to work. I take the bus, but sometimes the bus is late. Sometimes the bus doesn't come all the way, to my area, and even if I walk out to have to walk back, I still don't get the bus because the bus stops. Or if the bus is going to take me, steps away from my, place of employment, the bus decides, we're going to stop here, and the next half a mile or so, you're going to have to, make your way, and yet I'm expected to pay the same fare. Now, he shared that he believes that the employee, is telling the truth. One, he wants to give him the benefit of the doubt. But two, other people, have said, well, I've seen him stand up there. I didn't realize he was still working for you. A couple of people have picked him up and brought him in, community, trying to help out a fellow community member. But he shared that he's had conversations with, presumably, it would be the public transport unit, presumably it would be other areas of government, maybe civil servants, may even be politicians. But he says, for some reason, this is an issue when it comes to public transport that the community is aware that there is an issue that needs to be addressed. The, sort of operators themselves very openly flaunt the law. They're not going to drive their route. Not only will they deviate, but maybe they'll start early or go late or finish early or do different things as is convenient for them. And sometimes, he says, again, not just from this particular employee, but from others, they'll find that the behavior of passengers as well as the bus drivers on some of the routes is less than professional. Now he thought, is this a problem in that we're not enforcing it? Is it that the people who are entrusted to enforce aren't doing the jobs that they're supposed to do? Is it the people who have been granted a license understands that there will be no consequence or very, limited consequence, so they can do what he, or she feels like. Now he says, what is the scenario in other jurisdictions? You granted a license. Is it an indefinite license? Is it a license that is sort of provisional for a year or two? He says that the police, when they're recruiting new staff, you go through the training, you make it, but you're on probation for 2 years. Now he says he remembers getting a work as a youngster, and he was on probation for a month. That meant that during that time he could be dismissed. Okay, yes, he could quit as well, but he would want to P's and Q's as best as possible, while the employer decides whether you're going to fit the mold of the organization. Now, should we not perhaps make that part of the operator's license and have them understand that you are expected to drive this route at this speed in this manner, on these days, within this time frame and the like? And if you don't, well, your license is going to be, maybe in the first instance, suspended for a day or a week. Secondly, it's going to be pulled, or maybe there's no chance. You're expected to do this, and if you don't, that's it. No license for you. Would you see that as harsh and draconian? Now, if the complaints are, as many in the public have shared, not about all of the drivers, but maybe a small number, if that is the case, would it be easier for us to identify the offenders and make the necessary enforcement? 8949-8037. Let's go to our phones. Good afternoon and welcome. You're on Talk Today.
Good afternoon, sir. How are you doing?
My friend, how are you today, man?
I thought I would call in because I can keep you company for a couple of seconds.
Oh, hey, listen, man. Your company is, welcome.
I know me and a friend of mine was driving the road a while ago and we were listening in. I think that the hot button topic is obviously important and whatnot, but there are some other, issues that we have that we need to address, such as the dumping and the schools and other capital projects in which need just the same amount of attention as the port, in my opinion.
Right.
In fact, I think the schools should have been priority, but that's left up for debate. But I just want to say that I was at the North Side meeting last night that Mr. Miller had, him and the opposition, and there was a lot of interesting things that were talked about. One of the things that I found interesting was that if we're going to have a national effort behind any of our products, tourism, financial, the service base, whatever it is, if we're going to have a national discussion about it, I think that it's fair that we have a comprehensive discussion, as opposed to one group of people asking for information so that we could have that comprehensive conversation, and then the other group saying that we're going to engage in this project, but we're not going to share the information. And then I think that's where the conflict comes in, and that's where a lot of the misleading information takes set, and people tend to get confused. There was a gentleman at the hall last night that sat there for pretty much the entire meeting, and then got up and said that he still haven't heard enough. And again, and I think that was large in part because the opposition themselves don't have the information from the government. So it's really hard for them to even, share anything because they too have been left in the dark, and they are elected members. So I found that very disappointing that that we get to that juncture where you have citizens who are neither for or against, who are just simply looking for information, and their representative in their district can't even give it to them simply because they too have been left in the dark. And I think when you see it from that point of view, it gave me a whole new perspective of it all. And I said, it's now even more important that we forge forward with this petition and seek to get all of the necessary information so people like that gentleman don't be left, wondering what the project is really about, who's really paying for it, how it's going to affect our environment and all those things. So
well, I appreciate you sharing that, because when he was saying to me that, if I learned of the two, that are we looking at the Georgetown cruise port, as some of town did, similarly like we did at the landfill, or this is being moved to, Bordentown, so it's a Georgetown-Bordentown issue, not a national issue. And I'm wondering if that is for some reason how some of us are looking at this, not seeing that it's going to be a project that's going to affect us, whether we are in the sector or not. Do you want to? Do you want to continue the discussion? We can call you. I'm told we have a break, or is
no? We can. If you have a break, I can hold on. I think.
Yeah.
We have a little bit of dialogue, unless you have other callers.
No, man.
By all means, give them an opportunity.
Exactly. Well, I appreciate you sharing, and when we come back, we'll continue. Please stay tuned.
Sometimes things just don't go as planned. That's why you need Contractors All Risk Insurance from Fidelity Insurance Brokers. Ensure you're covered in the event of property damage and third-party injury or damage claims during your construction projects. And with Fidelity Insurance Brokers, you can be sure you are getting competitive pricing and superior customer service. Call us today for a free quote. Fidelity, we're good for you.
Hi, I'm remodeling our bathroom. I have a few questions.
Sure.
What are some ideas to make my bathroom feel larger? How do I know if I'm picking the right vanity? How do I choose a new toilet or a new countertop? Also, the lighting is terrible. Can I put a window or a skylight? And do I really need an exhaust fan?
You've come to the right place. At Brand Source, we custom design kitchen and baths, and our talented design team can help answer your questions. Whether you're looking for a modern, functional family bathroom or a luxurious personal retreat, we'll help create that beautiful space that makes your home yours. And if you're in a rush for a new look and have a limited budget, our ready-to-install bathroom vanities, built with solid wood and countertops of the finest materials, are a quick and easy remodeling solution.
For the very best in custom-designed kitchens and baths, visit Brand Source Home Gallery on Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park, Cayman's new kitchen and bath center.
We are now in the hurricane season, and to survive a hurricane, you need to be informed. If you have been informed by official sources that a hurricane is approaching the Cayman Islands, and you live in a low-lying area that is prone to flooding or near the beaches, which may be swept by high tides or storm waves, please seek a safe place and high ground. If the only way for you to get to a safe place is a road that is also likely to be flooded during a storm, please leave home early. Don't run the risk of being stranded. This has been a public service announcement from your community station, Radio Cayman.
Money Sense, bringing an informed financial perspective to the Cayman community. Brought to you by the CFA Society Cayman Islands and sponsored by One Trade X. Join Money Sense this Thursday at 7:30 a.m. as we discuss globalization with a world expert on monetary matters. What is globalization? Why did it start? And has it been good for Cayman and the wider world? Tune in exclusively to Radio Cayman this Thursday as we discuss globalization. Follow the conversation and tweet us your questions at Money Sense Radio. Money Sense, the only personal finance radio show in the Cayman Islands, brought to you with the support of One Trade X.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, you're invited to participate in the Lions Club of Tropical Gardens Brenda Tibbetts Lund Memorial 5K Walk Run on Saturday, October 6th from Cayman to the Flow Exchange and back, starting at 6 a.m. and the 5K and 10K Walk Run on Sunday, October the 14th at the 7 Mile Beach. Entry fee is $25 and participants can register online at www.caymanactive.com or the Lions Club of Tropical Gardens Peak Shop in the Elizabethan Square, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday through Friday. Funds raised go towards paying for mammogram screenings. There will be trophies for runners, and all participants are entered into the raffle following the event. Breast cancer survivors are also invited to attend the walk run. There will be special goodie bags for all survivors who attend.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back to Talk Today. Thanks for joining us. And as we went to the break, we had a call online. So, sir, thank you so much for holding on, my friend. Welcome back.
No problem, bro. No problem. So I was just really pointing out a different aspect of the whole port discussion, where we have individuals who, like I said, are neither for or against, who just wants to hear the information and understand what it is that is going to be put in place, and obviously something that is going to affect us, right? Because we have to bear in mind that no matter where we live on this island, whatever we do to our environment on this magnitude is going to affect us all at some point and somehow. So it's imperative that we keep the dialogue going and we keep the drive towards trying to get the information that's necessary to give people either the comfort zone or the uncomfort zone in order to understand what's going on, and that way they'll be able to voice whatever opinion they formulate based on the information provided. But there was an interesting article that I found, and I just sent it to you on your WhatsApp, and you can have a look at it later on, I guess. But what I found really funny with that, Sterling, and because I attended the last Wednesday night meeting that the ministry put on, and there were a lot of questions directed towards the two members of the two largest cruise lines in the world. And I think that when we have these conversations, and for those people who didn't have the opportunity to come out for whatever reason, that and then we have the debate after the fact that the information is put out there in the public in its accurate form, because there's a lot of misconceptions. I saw where Mr. Austin Harris put up on his Facebook page about the cruise ships warned us, and neither of those cruise ship people in that entire meeting, and I suggest everybody to go and watch the live stream and the videos. They never warned us. They just basically said that the Oasis size ships probably wouldn't come to our port without a cruise berthing. Yet they are tendering their big ships in their Coco Cay Island in the Bahamas without a cruise berthing. Now imagine they are down here lobbying and pushing for us to build a pier to accommodate their Oasis-sized ship when they own an island in the Caribbean, in the Bahamas. Well, when I say own, meaning that they got a long-term lease from the Bahamas, and yet the Bahamian government now are fighting them from building a cruise berthing on that island. But again, the information has to be accurate, and it has to be one of those things that when you say to the public, that the public don't get the misinformed notion that there's something happening when it's not happening. The gentleman basically said at the meeting when the question was put to him, he said the Cayman Islands is not at risk, and he said that 60% of their global revenue comes from the Caribbean, and they identified that there were higher spend passengers that would like to go on a cruise that catered more to the higher end type passengers. That's the reason why they ordered these ships. And if you go onto their website, you'll see where the mass majority of their ships are not the Oasis size. Out of 115 ships on order, only 15 are of the Oasis size, the mega size, and only 6 of which will be want to be called into a report on a weekly basis, as opposed to the 4 that they try to make us believe is coming. And that if we don't have cruise berthing, that we won't have any cruise passengers. Again, those are all misleading statements that was clarified at the meeting that night by the cruise ship people themselves. So it wasn't me saying it or some other person saying it or somebody debating the issue. It was them saying it. And one of the articles that I just sent you, Sterling, was I see where Royal Caribbean has stated in one of their articles that the Royal Palm Royal Palm Beach is their beach. It says so in their article, and then it lends that idea to the whole ideology that they want to shuttle people from the Georgetown Harbor area on high-end tenders straight to the Royal Palm and have those high-end spend tourists go into the Camana Bay area. Based on the article, based on what I've seen, it's not a far-fetched theory. It makes sense to me now because when the panel was asked a direct question by a few members of the audience whether or not China Harbor was one of the top 3 bidders that was selected, nobody in the ministry said whether they were or they were not. Now, if I had said, Sterling, and just as a scenario, if I had said to the panel, well, is Dwayne Heavy Equipment and Excavation Services is part of the bidders, they would have probably said, no, we can assure you that they're not part of the selected 3. And that would be because they know that they're not part of the process. And they wouldn't be compromising the top 3 that's in there, and they wouldn't be compromising you because you're not selected. So it left a lot of, unanswered questions in the minds of people. Mr. Mervyn Smith asked a very valid question as to, we've seen the global landscape of China Harbor. We've seen their behavior. We've seen all of the accusations. We've seen all of the issues that they have on a global scale. How could a company like that meet the criteria to even submit a bid for a project of this magnitude in the Cayman Islands? So, again, when we have a discussion, and I'm glad that it's ongoing, and because it's the thing that we're dealing with right now, I kind of wish that it was the dump that we were fighting to get fixed, and I kind of wish it was the schools that we were fighting to get fixed, but that's not the case. So I just want to remind the public, and I'll end with this, because I hope you got the callers calling in now.
Mm-hmm.
I'll end with this, Sterling, is that I want the general public to understand, and your listening audience to understand one thing, is that this petition for referendum is the only thing that we have left now that we could sign up to in order to get the necessary information so that we have a better understanding to the magnitude, the build-out, the financial model, every aspect of this project. The panel, Mr. Ranger, said that night that once the procurement process is done and the preferred bidder is selected, there will be no more public consultation. They will be moving forward in a timely manner to build and execute that project. So I'm reaching out to the public just so that they understand. The petition is a neutral petition. You only sign in the petition. It's not a vote for or against anything. What it does, it puts you in a position, and it puts the whole island and all of the concerned citizens of our island in the position that we can then finally get the information by way of a constitutional right that we have. And I urge everybody to participate just for that simple reason alone, whether you're for or against. And those are the facts. And I'll listen in and hopefully get some callers in.
All right, well, thank you very much for being willing to engage and to share. With that, I believe we'll take one call before the news. Hey, good afternoon. Welcome. You're on Talk Today.
Hello, good afternoon, Sterling.
Hey, good afternoon, sir. How are you?
Yes, sir. Okay, Sterling. A few quick points. My thoughts are not that organized, so forgive me if I don't make the points. I'll hit all the points I want to hit.
Okay.
Now, people have been saying that people need a referendum so that people can take back some of the control that they gave the government. Well worth that respect. There's That's my version, so to speak, of it. But that's more or less what they're saying, that we give to the government a certain measure of authority. We want to take some of it back. I don't know about everybody else, but how I understand the process is that when you vote for somebody, you're saying to that person and to all and sundry, I trust you. I probably couldn't do this job myself, but I trust you. And I'm delegating my authority to you. I don't know if you see the difference, but I'm delegating the authority to you because I trust you. And I believe that you can make the right decision on my behalf and on behalf of the other people who will be affected. So, it's like I said to somebody not so long ago, we were discussing the U.S. president and the presidency, and they said to me that they thought that he was a down-to-earth man just like they were, right? Mm-hmm. And so that's the kind of person that they wanted to be in office and be the president. Well, my approach to that was this. I said, I don't want somebody just like me, just with my limited capacity. That's not the person that I want to be my leader. The person that I want to be my leader, I have to perceive them as being better than me. They can make better decisions. They can think better. They can present in a general way. They can present better than I. And that's the person I want to be my leader. Not just, he's a good old boy and so on. No, but can he do the things that needs to be done by somebody who has absolute control?
All right, well, listen, thank you very, very much. And I think your thoughts were still organized respectfully. I see that the 2 p.m. is ahead. Thank you, sir. We'll engage you another time. We're going to pause and take a break. When we come back, more Talk Today.
Satisfaction is guaranteed 24 hours a day, whether it's music or information.
From Grand Cayman to Cayman Brac to Little Cayman, we've got you covered.
You ever hear a thing like that?
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman. Headline. Radio Cayman's newsroom. Headline. These are the biggest stories right now.
A Northside man wanted in the U.S. on counterfeit charges is out on bail, waiting for the office of the governor to decide whether to extradite him. The summary court ruled in favor of the extradition and issued what's called an extradition recommendation. Ian McKellar is a permanent resident in the Cayman Islands, but he is wanted in his native U.S., where he's accused of selling counterfeit flea collars and tick vaccines. Good afternoon, I'm Dion Anglin with your headlines and news elsewhere. U.S. First Lady Melania Trump has visited a former slave fort in Ghana on the second day of her solo trip to Africa. She said the dungeon is really something that people should see and experience, and what happened so many years ago is really a tragedy. People were kept naked and chained in the 17th century Cape Coast castle, waiting to be shipped as slaves. Mrs. Trump's African tour will include Kenya, Malawi, and Egypt, and is intended to promote children's welfare. About 60 migrants are feared to have drowned when a wooden boat capsized during a storm off Guinea-Bissau. The country's navy was unable to help when the boat went down on Monday as it lacked the resources, the national ports head told the BBC. The boat wreckage has been found, but no bodies have been recovered. And a prominent Saudi journalist, known as a fierce critic of his country's policies, has vanished after visiting a Saudi consulate in Turkey. Jamal Khashoggi, a contributor to the Washington Post, entered the consulate in Istanbul on Tuesday afternoon. Khashoggi went to complete routine paperwork, the Post said, and has not been heard from since. That's a wrap of your headlines. I'm Dion Anglin.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands. What's happening in your community? News and information, music and more. You can find us. www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman. Congratulations, it's a boy.
During the greatest events of your life, whether or not you have the right health insurance coverage should be the last thing on your mind. That's why at Fidelity Health, we are committed to helping you get matched with the right plan to suit you and your family. We offer a range of plans to suit your budget, plus access to a network of quality care throughout the Caribbean and the USA. You can relax and enjoy life's greatest moments when you are covered with Fidelity Health. Call us today at 949-7822 for a free quote.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back, and thank you for joining us here. It's truly is an honor. I mean, always to see my good friend, Mr. Glenn Ananga, as the co-founder but also artistic director for Cayman Arts Festival. Glenn, every time you come in, I feel, as you share with us, with our, I agree with you, our royalty, who is being present. It's amazing what music is like, and you've always championed, especially amongst our youth, the opportunities for them to be introduced, to get the opportunity to excel and to see what the arts, but in particular music, the ability to play an instrument can do for the mind as well as for the spirit. So to you, Marius, and all the guys at the CAF, thank you for your continued efforts and the sponsors who make it possible, and for the incredible gifting of the talent that you bring to our shows each time. We get a chance to maybe share with Ms. Rebecca in a bit, but Glenn, set the stage for us and do the honors, please.
So first and foremost, thank you for having us here in the studio. It had to happen because we had to get the word out about what is in store for us tomorrow evening. So last night, our wonderful Rebecca Omodia, who's based in London, she's a wonderful international concert pianist. She basically arrived here and came in to perform tomorrow night. And at the Cayman Arts Festival, we have events right through the year in addition to the big events. And one of the series we have is at least a couple of concerts devoted to piano repertoire, and so basically piano recitals. And so for this season, we have Rebecca kicking it off, and it's really wonderful that she accepted our invitation to come and perform. And she's really a wonderful pianist, extremely gifted, extremely rich heritage. You'll probably talk about that as well. And she's really chartering on sort of, on uncharted waters that people haven't perhaps do. Some of the things you're going to hear tomorrow night, you don't normally get to hear very often. So I'm very delighted that, it's nice she's sharing some of these new things that she's discovered in this repertoire with us here in the Cayman Islands. So we're in for a treat. So.
Oh, Marcia, he's... You have the heavy lifting to do, right? Glenn just stands there and looks good, right?
Well, let's say that you don't have to see me; you just have to see my work.
You see, you see the diplomacy? Yes. In other words, saying yes, I do all the heavy lifting. But I tell you what, we're glad that you do, and Ms. Rebecca, if you would allow us again to publicly welcome you, not just to Radio Cayman, but to the Cayman Islands, and hopefully in the audience, parents as well as they bring their children along, that they see what music is and what it takes to a society that is willing to make this commitment. From the corporate sponsors to the individual partnerships, from the parents, taking their children to music lessons, to insisting that the child exercises some time to practice. But equally, if only you will share, of what Glenn alluded to, that rich heritage that is you, maybe it'll show more of us that we can open up the arts and classical music and perhaps one of the most beautiful instruments, just such a wide audience.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me, and I'm delighted to perform in the Cayman Arts Festival. I'm a big fan of Glenn's work because the work he's doing in the Caymans for promoting classical music. It's amazing, and he's building an audience, and he's reaching out to people to embrace classical music, which is already a big pioneering work, and I wouldn't say it's easy.
No. But he makes it look easy, and that's why I think Ray Myers will tell you that the heavy lifting is that much later, because you got stalwarts like Glenn doing it. And see, now, Glenn, now as you pass that mantle, out with the old and in with the new.
So, I mean, again, I did say to her, she said, what should I play? I said, I want us to hear all the things that you specifically specialize in, that really, project exactly what you're about and your musical values. And, we talked a little bit about the program, and the things she's got in store for us are really fantastic and really shows of her dynamic approach to performance as well.
If I could ask, and only because I try to get people, I love music. There are certain things that I don't, necessarily, I won't listen to if I have a choice, but at least to be, introduced to and at least be aware of. But there is a perception that some of us have of jazz, of classical music, that that's only for, this occasion or in this setting. And I say, well, listen to it. You see that it actually does a little thing in your brain that makes it sort of tick and work. It gives you a thing. And if you were cooking, for instance, and you're getting ready to saute some vegetables, that little thing in the background playing makes it taste even better. But that's just me. I don't know much about it. Rebecca, is that true?
Well, there is jazz in classical music as well, and even composers as classical as Ravel, who was inspired by jazz, and he's used jazz rhythms, jazz melodies in his music. So jazz as a style, or jazz as just taken on its own, well, it can be for people that have a different taste, a certain taste just for jazz or just for classical music. But the program I am performing is bringing a very varied repertoire. And from my point of view, I think it's very interesting because we'll find works from the very, very classical periods, starting with Beethoven. And we have even Nigerian classical music, which is one of the projects I've been working on quite recently. And we have French Impressionism music, and also have English music from the Impressionist period. So I think it will be a really, really interesting program for any audience.
I think for students of history and who perhaps may still like to read, things that transpired during different periods of history, whether it was a war or a particular conflict or, in a particular area. But I find that with music, like with food, there's similar things that happen as the music. I use the word evolves, but that may not be the right way. And I begin to see that. And that's me, Don trained guy who's just, got a little time on his hands and wanting to learn and to listen. I'm very, very intrigued if you are able to share with us what I've seen and only listened since Glenn M shared with me. The work that you're doing with I call it your traditional Nigerian works, and then you're merging it with the classics that everybody, Beethoven, Bach, we know those guys, but we don't know some of the people. Some of us in Cayman, who's Duxton Radler-Gazong? But, we've heard of respectively of Glenn and Angle. And that's only because we're not, introducing it. So what you're doing for that perspective is going to give us as, sort of a greater musical appreciation of the global works that exist. Glenn?
Yeah, see, what I find fascinating is when people talk about cultural or African music or whatever it is, whichever culture you're describing, what people, for example, in Trinidad, you're used to hearing soca music, or you go to Jamaica, you're used to hearing reggae music, and so you'd think out of these particular sort of countries, that's the only type of music that you can get. But what people don't recognize is the fact that in some of these countries, you may have people who are trained classically who decide to sort of extract the elements of the traditional heritage and sort of recast them or represent them in a classical light. So people like Bartok did that sort of thing. Dvorak, these are what we call ethnomusicologists or composers, and they completely changed many people's view of what that type of music is. So they would present folk music, but in their sonata, for example, and all of a sudden it's been elevated as far as people are concerned, and you see it a completely different light. And I find that extremely fascinating. So in a sense, there's certain people who wouldn't normally get to choose to listen to that kind of music, but because it's been presented to them or rebranded, in a very, very fascinating way, they listen to it slightly differently. So we found something similar with a lot of the works that she's been researching and performing and recording, and with huge reviews, wonderful reviews internationally. And what some of these composers have done is they've taken the rhythmic aspects of some of this music, and you will be amazed by what you hear, because it's not the rhythm that you're used to hearing, it's rhythm being presented in a different way.
And even melodies.
And melodies,
even
exactly.
Melodies.
So I find it takes a lot of work. I can see you listen to some of the recordings she's done of this. I mean, it is a lot of work. But it's music that you wouldn't normally hear, because it's not performed very often. And that I find is something we are very proud of here, to be able to invite her here to perform, to present that. So
we have a wonderful lab here. I mean, people are so receptive, so encouraging, and as I listen to it, it's probably not unlike when we go into church and we hear some of the younger folks taking the, an old hymn, for instance.
That's exactly
making
it.
A little more contemporary. Marius going, yes, I don't think
I can't talk about music like them, because I'm not a musician. I'm just supporting them with the work. And the event that we'll have tomorrow in Cayman, usually the events are 7 o'clock, 7:30. We challenge everybody. We will start at 6:30, because we have in mind the young generation, and we know that on Friday is school. So we don't want to push the event that late. This is the main reason. So, all they said now, we love to expose their work to as many young persons as possible. And I hope that I will see as many there.
All right. Well, that's tomorrow evening at the Cayman Baptist Church, 6:30. We'll tell you more about it.
Yes,
after you come back from the break. Maybe there's even some tickets. It's a wonderful venue. It's a church hall, but man, the acoustics are fantastic. The pianos are wow, Glenn. It's going to be fun.
In for a treat.
Indeed. Well, when you come back, we'll tell you more. You want to learn more? Well, stay tuned for Talk Today.
King Sports Center takes pride in being more than just an ordinary gymnasium. For 14 years, their multi-purpose facility has been providing the community with a variety of sporting, recreational, and relaxation activities. King Sports Center has a bowling alley, lounge bar, multi-purpose rooms, powerhouse gym, rock climbing wall, bungee jumping, a 10,000 square foot rink, and so much more. For more information on the variety of services, call their friendly staff today at 946-5464 or email kings@candw.ky or visit www.kingsportscenter.com. King Sports Center, your one-stop shop for fitness, recreation, and relaxation.
The NCVO needs your help. Tune in to the annual radio telethon on Saturday, October 20th at 7 p.m. for the best in local entertainment, including C&B, Trinity, Little Magic, Roy Bodden, and High Tide. Call in to pledge any amount or donate online at CaymanGiftCertificates.com to be entered to win over $5,000 worth of prizes. The NCVO's annual radio telethon is broadcasted live from Prospect Playhouse on Radio Cayman and Cayman 27. The NCVO is one of Cayman's oldest charities dedicated to the care, education, and well-being of children and families in need of support. Tune in to Radio Cayman and please help us help our children. The annual Radio Telethon, Saturday, October 20th, 7 p.m. to midnight, live from Prospect Playhouse.
Radio Cayman, maintaining the innovation.
On a daily basis, making it easy to connect with you, our listeners. Add us to WhatsApp today, 925-3261. That's 925-3261.
Radio Cayman.
Send a text or voice note.
Can I send a request, please?
You don't really have to ask us. Just send a request.
This is a shout out to my ex.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman, maintaining the innovation.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waging to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Afternoon and welcome back, and thanks for joining us on behalf of the Cayman Arts Festival, perhaps tomorrow evening at the Cayman Baptist Church, 6:30. For those of you who attend there, you know where it's at. For those of you not quite sure, well, you're in Savannah, 163 Peter Castle Road. You go down, it's on the left-hand side after you know, Glen and Anger.
It's known also as Pastor Randy's church.
Ah, yes.
which is a good thing.
He'll say, and I can't mock him that well, so I won't try. He said, no, it's the Lord's church. I just be blessed.
No, I want to thank them. They allow us to have the concert there, and they have a great venue. We had nice concerts there all the time.
Well, I'm not a theologian, but we really psalmists, you know. Music is that way that brings people together. We see, you know, whether Shakespeare talking about the music being a food love play. Music brings people together. Perhaps the only other thing is, you know, good cup of fish, tea, and a game of dominoes, but that's a different day. But music brings people. Rebecca, from your perspective, if I may respectfully ask, the piano, of all the instruments, I think it's probably one of those, even though it's not as portable as a guitar or a banjo or a violin, you know, but the piano does things. Glenn is, as you shared, amazing. You likewise. Why the piano, and what does it do for you when you play?
Well, I came in contact with the piano when I was very young. So my mother bought the piano for us because we used to attend the local church, and then every child in the church would take part in the service with singing or playing an instrument. So that's the reason of why we ended up with the piano. And even though initially it was for my sister, I picked it up because I was a very energetic child.
I like how she says that. I should have used that when I was younger. Energetic child. Making a note.
Yes, well, or how parents would call it, a very naughty child.
No, I like energetic.
So playing the piano was the only thing that would keep me quiet for quite a long time.
Yeah.
And in the beginning, it was discovering the sounds that different keys would make, the melodies, playing with two hands, how a child usually gradually discovers the piano, and then being able to really express yourself, because the piano is a very complex instrument. It can imitate even a voice if you learn how to play it properly, or it can imitate different instruments in the orchestra. So, based on whatever technique you used to play, you can create a world of sounds that is very fascinating, especially for a child.
Well, I relate to that, and I'm thinking back, you know, to what my parents and older siblings had to endure when I tried to think on my sister's piano, and likewise what parents now probably have to endure initially when their own children are, whether it's the guitar, the violin, the piano. How do you, you know, as that parent or as that child who's willing and really desirous of wanting to learn that instrument, get to where you are now, and so where I'm at, where the sound that I made in the piano sounded like a jackhammer against eggshells or something. With you, it's like, you know, angels on clouds, just, you know. How do you get there?
Well, it's first of all, it's to practice, because you have to find your way around the piano. That's the very, very basic thing. It's just a mass driving. To be able to get somewhere, you must learn to move the car first. So, and then it all comes from the head. Once you reach a professional level of playing, it all comes from the head, because everything you have, all the information you have about music, about sonorities, as I mentioned before, orchestral sounds, even rhythms, because piano, firstly, is an instrument of percussion. It would be. So you can even use it as a percussive instrument, what we will find tomorrow in some of the African studies that they were written for this purpose. So it's all about your imagination. Of course, you start from the score, whatever the composer gave you, and then after you've learned the basics, then the piece becomes yours and you can do whatever you want with it.
So, let's see where I went wrong. I didn't practice.
It all comes from practice. Well, anything we do in this world, we have to work on it. So.
And thank you for sharing that. And I know that our listeners recognize where I'm going with this, but that's important, I think. And this is why, you know, evenings like tomorrow evening, good not only for the family, for the parents, but, you know, for those students who may not necessarily, you know, understand that the reason that they're doing this. You know, I have a good friend, you know, professional in his own right, enjoy his careers, but he finds that evening sometimes just with the family, going to the piano and just knocking away at something. He's not going to compose anything new. He's not going to, but just being able to write. It's stress relief. It's invigorating, and to him, I use another word, but I shall not use that. No, but it does bring a certain level of pleasure, right, Glenn?
Oh yes, I mean, the other interesting thing playing an instrument is the fact that you get sometimes to collaborate with other people. And that social dimension, particularly for kids, is wonderful when they play in a group and an ensemble. And even at our level, it's still such a joy, So I begged Rebecca, please, would you mind coming and playing a piece with me?
No,
So
actually, that's the surprise. That was the surprise at the end of the concert, that we are doing something together. We will play a very, very, very interesting and very enjoyable
Since
piece
the secret is out now, we were
that's
told
not a favor.
Yeah, he was actually having public prayer. From what we told, he was having public prayer in the National Stadium. Please let her pray with me. Please let her pray.
So it's a delight. It's a real delight. And I only put that out there because it's interesting for people to see the possibilities you can get from one instrument. And I'll say a little bit more about that tomorrow. But it's going to be, it is a nice little surprise which you don't know about. And we're really looking forward to having her perform this very, very rarely performed program. And going back to the point she was talking about practice, and it's all all in the head. I couldn't agree more. I must confess, when people ask, "Oh, how do you do what you do?" I say, I don't even know anymore, because my ears want to hear something, and because you spend so many hours working and working and working at the skill, the fingers do exactly what the ear is asking them to do. And I don't even know what I'm doing. I don't know what finger I'm using where, which it was very different when I was a kid, because everything was all prescribed, use that finger there. But now, it's just, you don't even know what you're doing.
It's similar to what, they talk about muscle memory. You watch people who are perhaps the accountant, back in the day with a calculator. It's over there. You didn't even have to look at it. You knew where the numbers were. Muscle memory, is that similar to some extent? I'm hoping.
I mean,
yeah, well,
whatever it is like for you. For me, when I was younger, it was definitely muscle memory. But now, I don't know what's going on. I just trust me. I don't know.
It's a complex process that involves, but it starts with the head and the hearing and listening, and then your hands just follow, just execute what we're telling them to do. That's why I was thinking that most important thing for the parents who have children learning the piano is to really, really keep them and support them in practicing, so that they can go through the process of the basic learning, because that can be a bit difficult in the beginning. But once they pass that stage, then they can really enjoy the instrument, and then everybody who's learned to play piano, they've kept it, even if they become doctors. I had students who become doctors, surgeons, and they still play piano at quite a high level of playing, because it keeps them,
I think, grounded. It gives them a sense, and something you shared, the foundation with anything. If you're playing football, learning the basic dribbling, passing, and shooting, so that you have the proper foundation, you can take it through and become accomplished with practice, with time, with diligence and dedication. Hey, Mark, I thank you for doing the heavy lifting, man.
Yeah.
Yes. It's nice when we have performers, because it gives me a chance to put in place everything that we have here, the infrastructure. And I cannot do this without sponsors. I have to mention them.
Yes.
We have to thank them. London Amsterdam Trust, Deloitte, and Oxbridge. They are behind of this event from a financial perspective. We have a group of volunteers that will come tomorrow and help. That we are just like supporting actors for the major event. As I mentioned at the beginning, you don't have to see us. You just have to come there and focus on music, and at the end to praise them for what they've done. I'm not that gifted. I don't know how to play. I mean, I gave up after 2 years. I went home and I said, Dad, that's it. You kill me now. I'm not going back to that piano lesson. But that was a huge mistake. I can tell if there's any child that is thinking the same at this moment, it's wrong. They have to continue, because now I regret.
Well, I'm glad you shared that, because I think too many of us, either as parents, have not insisted, is what I would use, that you stick with it. Whereas the student, then given that choice, we backed off, and only to regret it later on. You know, I mean, the best I can play is the radio, you know, and sometimes that doesn't work. So, but it's going to be an evening, I think, that as a family you come out, you enjoy, and
family
you
event.
appreciate it. It's an exceptional venue. I think Pastor Rand, as you shared, you know, his congregation has put together very receptive. But also, you know, the acoustics within the sanctuary makes it, you know, like really conducive to a wonderful, you know, concert hall. For those who want tickets, are they still available?
If the one who wants tickets, they can find them online, CaymanArtsFestival.com. We will sell at the door, probably same price that we sell now. The prices are, we have a family package. We're talking about family. It's a family-oriented event. It's $65 for 4 persons, 2 adults and 2 children. And the regular tickets are $30 for adults and $10 for students.
I think it's a special on, right? A family of 4 for $65, or a family of 8 for $130.
Yeah, that's exactly the special.
How it works, yeah, it's a good special.
And I always say it's a lot cheaper than flying to London to go and hear Rebecca perform.
But I'll be worth it as well. Wow. So, I certainly appreciate you, you know, not only allowing us to be able to, you know, engage and be inspired, but, you know, hopefully it'll continue to cause more in the community to see how important the arts, you know, are to the nation, but to the individual. So, Rebecca, if you were to, you know, say a couple of things to our listeners out there.
Well, I really look forward to playing tomorrow, and I really hope that even if you had something else planned, you can still make it to this concert, because it will be a really good opportunity to hear some really good music. I'm not talking about the playing, I'm just talking about the music itself, because even if there are people that like virtuosic piano playing or lyrical playing, you can find everything there. And it's also a good opportunity to hear some music, especially the Nigerian composer, which I think it's a really great discovery for the classical music. And I have to give credit to Glenn, because he was the one who sent me Ayo Bankola's score, the score for the piano sonata. Yes, I had been researching it for a long time. When I got in touch with him, and he sent me, just without even asking me what I'm doing, he said, I played this, and it's really, and the audience really liked it. So now you can take it from there. Wow. So we can guarantee you will really enjoy it.
And she's just recorded all these works. It's amazing.
Recorded it, and we had a good reception, and I'm positive the audience will love it.
Well, I'll tell you what, I mean, I've got just a little snippet. A friend showed me where to find it, and this, you know, quick little preview, I guess it would be. Awesome, man. And that's just me who don't know anything about it. But it brings you to a place where you start to appreciate what music does and what it works. Glenn, we all sing your praises, but you know, I think it's justified, man. You're incredible.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right. So tomorrow evening, you know,
thank Radio Cayman.
It was a pleasure.
Always having us whenever we ask to come and share with the listeners what we have on the horizon. So I'm very, very delighted and very honoured that Rebecca has accepted that invitation to perform here. And
well, whatever arm twisting you did, thanks for doing it, because you know, we're going to be
And as many young people out there who can come. I was speaking to my students this morning in class. I said to them, you've got to go. I spoke to my students yesterday about it, and you know, it's something which is something that should not be missed, I think. So I encourage them all to come out.
All right, 6:30 at Cayman Baptist Church. Closing thoughts, my friend?
I will. We have spoken a lot of time about children. I will add this all the time at the end. If you feel that your child should be there, bring the child there, and he will be inside and will listen to, no matter if you can buy a ticket or not.
You always have been very, very gracious, and you've been very encouraging, and I trust as a community we'll continue to be supportive of the arts in particular. So enjoy your time with us. I hope you'll return over and often. Glenn, again.
Thank you. Thank you. And thank you, Susan, as well.
Yeah. Without her, where would we be, right?
Exactly. I read she won this wonderful award. Congratulations as well.
Yeah. It comes with a wonderful prize as well. Yeah, it's even with Glenn. But congrats and thanks again.
So much.
All right. Tomorrow evening, 6:30, CaymanArtsFestival.com if you want your tickets. And I'm sure even if you're tone deaf like me, color blind and can't be coordinated, you can still enjoy the evening. So come out and see the wonderful gifting of our talented musicians. Now tomorrow is Thursday. What Miss Susan has in store for you, I don't know. You can check her in the morning for the buzz and you'll find out. But certainly on Talk Today, right after the midday news and midday meditation, we have the Honorable Ezra Miller sharing with us. So we're looking forward to that discussion. Check out the Monday Science program in the morning at 7:30 as well. Until then, be blessed.
Shaken yet standing firm. This is Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.